It's lunchtime, and this is Brad Anderson's Lunch Break. If you work with technology, you've probably been to more than a few conferences in Orlando. When I got invited to speak at Citrix Synergy, I booked a flight and called a few really smart people to meet up for lunch. Today I'm driving around with Jacob Morgan, best-selling author, speaker, and futurist. Jacob, good afternoon. Good, yourself?
Couldn't get a bigger car? Good Lord, man.
You know what? I can't imagine driving this around town and like trying to park. Jacob, we have had a lot of guests over the years here in the car with us, but never a best-selling author.
Well, thanks for having me.
We're here at the Citrix Synergy Conference. Tell us about your most recent book and kind of like the core message of the book.
So the most recent book is called The Employee Experience Advantage, but essentially it looks at how do you create a company where people want to show up to work. We've been investing in this idea of employee engagement for many, many decades. And investments have never been higher and the scores have never been lower.
Wow.
So the book essentially looks at, well, why is that the case? And what I found is that in most companies, they think of employee engagement as kind of just like a perk, right? It's people aren't happy, so you give them hot yoga, you give them free food, and that'll make them happier. So what I found with this book, the concept of employee experience, is that you can, as an organization, you can design for culture, technology, physical space. How do you design for them so that people actually want to show up to work?
What are the first things you tell organizations they should start looking at and doing?
As far as where to start, I mean, if I were advising an organization and they just came to me and said, our employee engagement levels suck, probably one of the very first areas that I would start is make sure that you put people in positions of power who care about others. Your job as a manager should be to help make other people more successful than you are. If that is your job as a manager, you are a good manager.
I don't know how many people would immediately hone in on that's the first thing to do, but it makes all the sense in the world.
I know it sounds kind of corny and soft and stuff like that, but it's true.
So we're going to play a little game that we play when we drive around called This or That.
Oh my goodness.
All right, and so I'm going to give you two objects, followed by some descriptions.
Okay.
Okay, and then you're going to tell me if the description is the first thing or the second thing, or it could be both.
I'm ready.
All right. The two topics are trying to get your first book published.
Okay.
Or wrestling an alligator, because we're in Orlando.
Done.
Okay, so the person that you hired to help you prepare is missing an arm.
Book publisher.
Your parents would rather you focus on getting a real job.
Oh my God. I'm gonna go with both on that one.
Doing it is even harder than you expected.
I'm gonna go with the alligator on that one.
Oh, really? So even as a book publisher, it wasn't as hard as what you thought it was going to be?
Nope. No, I mean, everybody tells me all these horror stories about like, oh my God, it was such a nightmare. And in my mentality is like, quit, just shut up and write the damn, like, what is so hard? You're putting words on paper, man. You're not like...
Well, it sounds like you must have had like the hot topic too. I mean...
Well, the thing is, don't write a book that you don't know about, and don't write a book if you don't have anything to say. What the hell are you doing writing
do something
about
else. Once you finally do it, you put it at the very top of your resume.
I would do both on that one.
I would
definitely, if I wrestled an alligator and I was applying for like a VP at Microsoft, that would be that would be bold and in large font at the very top.
You wrote a column that ended with an open-ended question, and I'm curious about what the answer is. So what's the number one thing keeping people at their jobs? What's your question?
If I had to be honest, I would say fear, because we're scared of what would happen if we didn't have that job, right? How are we going to pay for things? How are we, what's going to happen to our lives? Nobody's going to like us. Nobody's going to think we're successful. Because so many of us, and all the research apparently shows this, that we work for organizations that we don't want to be a part of. Yet we still stay there. So why do we stay there?
Yeah, it's so sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's because we're scared. We're scared of what will happen if we leave, and we're scared of what will happen if we start something else. I think fear is a very good factor that gets us to do certain things. So I think we're very scared of what would happen if we left our companies. The companies know this. But if one day we woke up and this fear was eliminated, 99% of the organizations in the world would be completely screwed when it comes to talent.
Oh, so why do you say that?
Because I think a lot of the people would just be like, see you later, I'm not scared of leaving
That makes
anymore.
sense.
And
And
they
so
just go, poof.
it would just be the organizations that really had the cultures that attracted
Yep.
people and empowered people that would be the attractor of everyone.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. Like from the 252 companies that I interviewed, there's some really bad companies and there's some really good companies. And whether you talk to the really bad company or the really good company, they all tell you the same thing. This is an awesome place to work.
Yeah.
We have great values.
Their
You're
own
going to love it here.
self-image is always going to be.
Exactly. So how does that make any sense, whether it's a
Yeah.
good company or a bad company?
Yeah.
So I find that fascinating. Do you ever want to just like go off-road in this thing?
You know, I'd never driven this until this morning.
Get the hell off the roads, people. You could literally run over one of these palm trees and you wouldn't even like know that you hit it. It's unbelievable.
Next time on Brad Anderson's Lunch Break.
When most people think of technology, especially leaders inside of organizations, they think of it as literally just the tech thing. Like it's not human, it's tech. But the reality is that when the technology breaks down, so does all of the human stuff that sits over here.